plan was to be able to and share some of the information. We're gonna go around and give a quick introduction. If you want to, you can just all say your names because we're running behind on time. And if you want to mention what you do or where your community is, that'd be great. My name is Angela. I live in Orlando, Florida. I work for Hope and Help, and I'm also a member of Unspoken Treasure Society.
I am Natalia Dupree, also known as Regina Livingston. I am the founder and executive director of Unspoken Treasure Society.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tiffany McRae, or Tiffany Bailey. I live in Orlando. I am an HIV case manager for Comprehensive Health Center.
I am Milan Williams. I'm here in Orlando, Florida. I am the outreach coordinator for Miracle of Love and also the founder of Divas in Dialogue.
I'm also a member of Divas in Dialogue too.
I am too.
I'm also a member of Divas in Dialogue. My name is Angelica Jones. But some may know me as Angelica Sanchez. And I'm also on the Cotico Fund Board.
Can I say your other name? All right, Kira, you're there.
Good afternoon, good evening, ladies. I am Kiara Johnson Williams with the Florida Department of Health in Orange County, Area 7 Program Officer.
Thank you for being here with us today.
Of course.
Aja, are you there?
Ms. Gamble?
Okay, and we're also missing one of our panelists today. She took ill today after her dialysis treatment this morning, so unfortunately she's not going to be able to join us today. It's Ms. Renee Evans.
Oh.
So we're gonna move right along. I prepared for everybody was a flyer that simply states, it talks about trans women in the epidemic of HIV and AIDS. So our discussion today is going to be pillared around the 4 key strategies. For those who don't know, the CDC and health departments all over the world have put out the in the epidemic a plan for workers learn more about it. Go to the U.S. Department of Health, Human Services, proposing an opportunity to eliminate new HIV infections in our nation. Along with that, they put HHS has launched a new initiative to end the HIV epidemic in America. Our goals are 7% reduction in new HIV infections in 5 years, and at least 90% reduction in 10 years. The government, CDC, and the CDC plan for doing this, going by four pillars. Those pillars are diagnose, treat, protect, and respond. All right, we're gonna start off with pillar 1. And I'm just gonna basically tell everyone.
Before we go on, can everyone make sure, like, when we're not talking, that the phone is on mute? If we're not talking, put the phone on mute.
All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over pillar 1. I'm gonna read on pillar 1 and let everybody know what pillar 1, what they say that they wanna do with pillar 1, and then after that, I'm gonna ask a few questions that we all can just openly answer. The first one is diagnose. Diagnose people with HIV as early as possible. The first question I have for that one is, what are some of the steps that you all believe we should be taking to ensure that we are reaching everyone, especially those who identify as trans and non-binary?
So for myself, I feel like being visible, keeping your mission, letting your youth as well as, your peers know your mission, making people feel comfortable, making people know that you're approachable. And, you have to build your rapport with the community so that the community can have trust in you. So those are things that I think would definitely help in your mission to reach out to getting people to get tested and stuff of that nature.
So making sure we're approachable and we're reaching the right areas. That's good.
And I would say going to those areas where those people are. A lot of agencies and everyone always say that's their favorite line. We're meeting them where they are, but are they really? Because if they were, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So to me, is really meeting them where they are. Because myself, I work with a lot of trans sex workers, and right now they only know about organizations I tell them about. Because no one is reaching out to them. They don't know what's available for them. So I think more agencies need to get out and really meet clients where they are, especially trans women and people who have more barriers than the rest.
And it's kind of backwards. It's kind of backwards for me because I'm here in Gainesville, Florida, where my community knows, where I am. But the people that are reaching out for assistance are from out of town, out of my region. So it's kind of been working backwards for me. I get calls every day from like St. Pete or Orlando or, different places outside of the region here that I'm serving. Which I don't mind because I'm going to help near or far.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll take one more if somebody else want to.
I was just going to say that once again, we need to, as far as for trans women, we need to end the stigma. And it's most important, like Mulan was speaking about, for trans women who are in the sex industry, for whatever reason they're in. They need to know that there's not going to be a stigma attached to them for coming in and getting tested, for making sure that they are healthy, because their health is utmost important to the community as a whole also.
Awesome. So for the diagnose section, someone wanted to say something?
Yes, I would like to say something really quick. I think it's also about us making sure that we go into those different social settings and elect someone social advocate as well, because when you have someone that's in those different social settings, that you'll be able to reach more people that way. So I think that's very important as well.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so the next question will be, what is something that you and the organization, our community you represent, is doing to help ensure we are reaching the people most at need?
Well, for me and Miracle of Love, they know that I'm always out there with them. And from me being out there with them, I'm able to, give them resources to tell them about what my agency does and everything like that.
Well, for me and Unspoken Treasure, I make sure I'm visible. I make sure we send notations around. I actually take condoms and stuff to the club. I have my card, condoms, lube, and everything in there. I'm just starting to pass out my hygiene boxes because I got everything in now. So I'll be doing that on the stroll here, as well as just going into the places that I feel need to, just like you were saying, Milan, you do have to put yourself in those environments to actually reach the people. If you don't put yourself in those environments, then it's a waste, because people, it's all a part of meeting them where they are.
I do definitely want to take a moment and say I do applaud both you ladies. Regina, you have opened up Unspoken Treasure Society there in Alachua County, and I'm from Alachua County. Like, there has nothing ever been anything similar to what you're doing right now. So I applaud you 110%. And then Mulan here, Divas in Dialogue. I mean, girl, yes. Like every day we talk on the phone about something we have going on in the community for our girls and for our community. And we definitely need to continue that. It's very important that we continue to step up and be noticed for the things that we have planned for our community.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been through it, we've done there, so we can help others who identify as we identify, navigate through these situations. So I definitely applaud.
And one thing that I know is one thing that I know that is very, very important from my experience, something that I just experienced, it is so important having grassroots trans-led trans women of color leading their own organizations. That is so important because I was able to reach out and help a young lady in Tampa. And I had a young lady, a young trans woman at Metro Wellness in tears because there was nothing she could do. Because they don't do this kind of work or they don't do that kind of work. They have to get assessed and they have to go talk to a counselor and they have to go. See, when you have walked that walk and you have been in those shoes, it's easier for you to kind of push those, some of that assessment stuff to the side and say, let me help her first, and then I'll do all this assessment stuff. And I'm not saying you can do that with everyone, but when you have a discerning spirit, we as trans women of color, we know what we're facing. So we can make that, when you can make that executive decision, that's a lot of weight and a lot of heaviness that's lifted off your chest. Because when you're sitting in an office and your boss is telling you, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do, that doesn't feel good. It really, really doesn't. And I mean, just having us leading as much as possible simply so that we can reach out and extend more of our olive branches for the girls. Because that's why I feel it's so bad as it is now, because we have so many people and places in place, but we have so little people that are reaching those areas as they are, because they're not trying to reach some of those areas as they are. You have to come to us.
That's exactly what I wanted to say, was that, we need these organizations to be diversified to where they look like us, they sound like us, and we need more trans leadership. We need more LGBTQ plus leadership in these organizations so that people who are the people that they're servicing, they have no connection to. And that's something that is lacking.
Very important. Very important.
And even if it means, them reaching out to different people in the community to, get their foot in the door. It's so many people that I see at different organizations and in all these different leadership roles, but they really have no connection to the community. So how are they really actually helping the community?
Right.
Angela, I wanted to add a point, at least from the health department's perspective, when it comes to the funding aspect. And I believe it was Regina from Unspoken Treasures who brought it up about grassroots-led organizations. A part of that funding piece for implementation under the CDC guidelines, at least 25% of the funding has to go out to the community. That's at a minimum. So at least for our portion that's coming to Orange County, my goal is to make sure it reaches individuals who are doing the work. Because at the end of the day, most people are not going to come to the health department. I'm just going to be very honest and flat out.
Oh,
and it can be from past experience. It can be from the stigma that's there. It can be the hours that's not really available because I can't get here at this time before they close. Whatever the case is, we need to make sure that the funding is readily available for those individuals who are actually doing the ground-led work, because the health department can't do it alone. That's why they mandated in terms of this funding that is coming, which should be coming soon. At least 25% of that funding has to be in the community, and the goal is to make sure that it reaches grass-led organizations. So a part of the Internet Epidemic Plan that was set out for Orange County, just to give a little more background on it, certain priority populations were listed from the town hall meetings that we had, focus group meetings, and we're still having like community engagement. Just COVID sort of threw that off a little bit. But from that, we understand that trans of color, that's a big group that is highly missed. Young MSM, Black and Hispanic, that's a group that's highly missed. The Haitian population, that's a group that's highly missed. So I just wanted to put that piece out there to let you guys know in terms of the funding. We are mandated to make sure that at least at a minimum, my goal is to go above the 25% because I want to make sure that the work is being done. And I know the health department can't do it alone, and neither should we, because if they already have a rapport and a relationship with the individuals that's on the ground, what I look like coming in there trying to speak to somebody, gonna be looking like, who are you? I've been dealing with Milan, or I've been dealing with Unspoken Treasure, or I've been dealing with Angela. I'm not dealing with you because I don't know you. And people just need to be honest and know their boundaries and what's best for them. So I just wanted to give that perspective.
So if I'm not mistaken, correct me, Carrie, if I'm wrong. So what Carrie is letting you all know right now is that there is some funding coming through. So there will be a grant opportunity for a community-based organization. Is that right, Kara?
Just to give more insight, so it's going to be several different funding streams. One that has to have priority population, excuse me if you hear my son screaming in the background, regarding the trans population, LGBT young MSM and Black Hispanics, as well as Haitian and Black women. So those are some priority populations that based on the data, as well as based on what our community said needs to be addressed. So those funding opportunities, so it's 2 waves of money. The first wave of money that came out was to engage and get everybody to know what's going on. That's the first piece. The second piece is for implementation to make sure everything that we put together in a plan can actually be executed. So grant opportunities will be made available based on the needs that need to be done in the community.
Yes. Thank you, Kara.
Can I ask you a question, Kara? Is
yes.
going to be from county to county or just in Orange County? Because the health department here in Gainesville and the health department is constantly reminding me we don't do any monetary donations or funding. They will provide condoms. They will provide lube. They will provide all these things. But they always kindly remind me that they do no funding. So
okay, so what I can speak to is Orange County. And just to let you know, in the state of Florida, there's 7 designated areas that are in the epidemic area. So it is Broward County, Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, Hillsborough, Pinellas, Duval, and Orange. So unfortunately, in this first set that they're supposed to be focusing on, it's based on the data. Now, granted, some people may live in Alachua County, but play in Orange County, so that may affect our numbers and those different types of things. So I understand that, but it may be funding available in Duval. Well, I know it's going to be funding available in Duval County because they're one of the in the epidemic areas. So, excuse me, those are the 7 jurisdictions within the state. Now, granted, when the next pot of money, they may open it up to like the next top highest jurisdictions based on HIV incidence data. But as of right now, it's just the 7 jurisdictions that's currently out. So Orange, Pinellas, Hillsborough, Duval, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach.
Okay, so I work very closely with the department in Duval. Joseph Mims and Yolanda.
Joseph Mims, yes.
Yes, we work very, very closely together.
Okay, good.
We were actually just together Sunday night. So
he mentioned that because I was on a call with him.
So I am sure that if it comes through him, that it will be accessible to us. But other than that, because I know Alachua County, I know what Alachua County gives. So it's a
so unfortunately Alachua wasn't listed in the top 7, but Duval is listed as one of the in an epidemic
Okay.
jurisdictions. So they should receive, well, it's not they should, they will receive money. I don't know what their plan looks like. So like you said, a good point of contact would be Joseph, and talk with him and just say like, hey, do you have any plans to address opportunities to address things that's going on within the trans community? So that could be a start. I can only speak to Orange County and something that we carved out, at least from my perspective, to actually have something available for the trans community. I can't speak too much as to what they look like, how much, and all those things, because we're waiting on the notice of award. But once that happens, I will put out an RFP for people to know what the funding looks like.
Okay.
All right. So, okay.
So sorry, not to take over, as I just wanted to give that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh,
You're
no,
giving us
thank you.
information
Thank you
that we
for that
need to share.
Yes.
Information that we need to put out there.
It's
Yes,
awesome to
love
know
it.
stuff like that. However, Joe did tell me Joseph did tell me it was things in the works. So that could very well be, what he's talking about. Who knows?
And he talked about that. We was on a call together Tuesday, and he brought up that he was on a call on Sunday trying to address the needs within the trans community. So I know that was something that is on his tier. So just speak with him, and I know you guys can get some stuff going.
Okay.
So, if there's Angus, so if not, we're going to continue to move on. We're going to go to our next pillar, which is treat. Treat people with HIV rapidly and effectively to reach sustainable viral suppression. Okay. So my question is, how can we ensure that we are treating people with HIV rapidly and effectively to reach sustainable viral suppression?
Well, I think the first thing we have to try and do is try and get mental care help added into that equation as well, because the main thing is about people being responsible enough to take the medication that they need to be taking so that they can get their viral load to where it needs to be, as well as their. And the reason why I say mental health is because a lot of people deal with a lot of issues when it comes to being diagnosed. So we have to be counselors for those individuals at the same time as being the case managers. So you need something in there, an element wherein people can get out their grievances and the things they may have been dealing with in order to help. That's just my opinion.
And can that be done through peer support, or does it have to be done through a licensed counselor?
I think it should be done through both, either or, whichever is best for that individual.
I didn't know if it was set up in a certain way. I didn't know, but I do know my experience as an HIV positive trans woman, my experience as a recovering drug addict. I will tell you that there is nothing more valuable than someone who has lived your experience, can explain to you and help to relieve your anxieties about your situation. So peer support to me is something that I think is most important when it comes to getting people, kind of what Angela does in her business and what she's been doing lately with. She literally will take trans women under her wing. She will get them to their appointments. She makes sure that they're taken care of. This is something that we have to start doing because most of the girls don't understand where they need to be. They don't follow through. And if you're not following through with your medication, then our outreach is a moot point.
And also what needs to happen is the trust that we have to build within the Black community and different other ethnicities, because there's the mistrust that we have with people when it comes to medication and when it comes to treatment of all different sorts of things. I mean, we know for a fact that, especially with Black people, that we've been tested on in so many situations that a lot of people don't believe. And it's just about, knocking down those stigmas and, getting people to trust what you're actually doing, you know, because in the long run, it's going to help them live longer and put them at a better advantage to live.
And it's going to keep others from being infected.
What you said, Tiffany, you said exactly how I feel. That is exactly how I feel. That's why me and Angela had the conversation we had. There is so far I can go. You know, being that I'm negative, there is so far I can go. So I have to reach out to my counterparts that don't mind opening themselves up and helping some of my girls that they could reach a little deeper than I could. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm transparent with my girls, you know. So I do have girls that have opened up to me because they trust me. And so I hold that trust with everything. I hold their trust to the uttermost importance because I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, right, but at the end of the day, right. But I know at the end of the day, it also helps somebody who's experienced it and who's lived through it, you know, and have walked in those same shoes. So,
sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, when it comes to reaching out to people, especially when they're newly diagnosed, they need to know that they're talking to someone who's experienced what they're getting ready to go. Okay, so you've been through this. You've had to go through these organizations. You've had to deal with these doctors. You've had to deal with the community at large as far as how they're going to treat you. People, you know, the stigma attached to HIV is so unfounded in so many ways, but it is there. And what happens to people is they believe that their life is over. They believe that they'll never be able to have love in their life. They believe that nobody ever want to be around them and touch them again. There are so many levels that are so disheartening to those of us who have experienced that, you know, being told that we are actually positive. But I have to be honest with you, and I could share this with many women, trans women especially. My health is better than it's ever been because I'm taking care of it. And so if I could help by taking someone under my wing and saying, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get you to this appointment. We're going to see this doctor. We're going to get this medication. I'm going to get you set up with the right pharmacy so you don't have to worry about going into town and walking into a pharmacy where people are going to see you if that's working. On making sure that people are no longer frightened to tell their status. Because knowing your status and being able to tell someone else, I'm HIV positive, but I'm undetectable. Because that's where we need to get people to, you know, and so that I think is most important. And we need more organizations. We need more Angelas. We need more Unspoken Treasures. We need more Angelica. We need more Milans out there in the public showing that we can fight this battle and win it without people being completely destroyed.
So yes, like this is where it starts. Like continue to provide us with opportunity and spaces like this to have these conversations and invite everyone in on these conversations. It's one thing to be invited in, and it's another thing to make yourself known in that space and say, hey, we're here. We want to take lead on what we think is best for us. Because we've all had the conversation where we say, oh, well, we don't go to this organization because they don't have anything I can identify with. So that organization is getting funding for me, for my demographic. So that's why most of us have taken this initiative we've taken to kind of step up and be noticed for the work that we do and the work that we plan on doing in the future. So definitely, we need to be heard. We need to be in those, we need to have the opportunity to sit on those same platforms as other people, and even more so because we have that lived experience. We are better to help navigate those who have suffered some of the same things that may identify with us.
And I think another thing that we should look into organizations to give more education when people are first diagnosed. They need education. And we also have to be honest with the trans girls and let them know how everything doesn't happen just like that. It's a process, because I see a lot of people get out of care because of the intake. It's hideous. It can be long. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to have this paperwork, you have to have that paperwork. But I think it's okay. I think they'll go through that if they have more education first. You know, we need to let them know what undetectable is. You know, we have to stop telling them, just telling them. We have to educate them on what it really means. And doctors are not doing that. When they're getting tested, they're not being told that. They're just being told, okay, you take this pill once a day and you're going to be okay. They need more education, because some are just getting out thinking that, okay, I'm fine now, so I'm going to be fine next week too. You know what I'm saying? So education should be like the first thing, and it needs to be broken down where they can understand, because a lot of times people are talking to them and they're not understanding anything they're saying.
That's the problem. That's the problem right there, Milan. They're talking at them and not to them.
Yeah, so I think
that's when we come into play.
I think that's when we come into play, because if I test someone and she's a trans experience, I let her know right up front, this is going to be a process. It's going to be aggravating, but it's worth it. This is for you in the long run. You know, don't go in there cussing this person out, because I'm going to be honest, and I don't know if you girls are going to be honest, but it is hard working with trans women. I thought I didn't think I would ever say that, being trans myself, but being in this field, we some real motherfuckers at times. Excuse my French, but sometimes we just want to strangle their necks. You know what I'm saying? But I think it'll be easier for us. Right, but I think it'll be easier for us and the organization if they put, like, if newly diagnosed people, they need to be educated. Not in a group setting. And I know it'll be a lot to do one-on-one, but we need to make sure that people understand straight up what undetectable is. We need to let them know, you know, we need to explain all that to them up front for they can know what's really going on. And I think
not only explain it.
Okay, so what I want to
not only explain it, but explain it in layman's terms, so people can understand and grasp exactly what it means.
Been spoken to instead of spoken at. Yes,
exactly.
We are definitely having a great conversation here. I want to try to get at least one question off the last two pillars before this ends, and then we can go back. Plenty more conversation.
But before that, please, if you're not talking, put your phone on mute, because when everyone else is talking, if your phone not on mute, they're coming out muffled. So please, if you're not talking, put your phone on mute.
All right. The third pillar is prevent. It says prevent new HIV transmission by using proven innovation, including pre-exposure prophylaxis, PrEP, and syringe service programs. So my first question is it true that being trans people automatically assume you have HIV, have an HIV status?
It's true that people just assume that.
Is it true that
most, if you are trans and a sex worker or anything like that?
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of goes back to the education of it all, right? Because I think everything has been pushed and directed so much to MSM. Everything has been pushed and directed so much to the LGBTQ plus community, but we don't talk about those individuals who don't consider themselves a part of that community, but like to tinkle and play in that community. And then I believe if other straight people were more educated on it, as well as our community, we can really eliminate and eradicate this thing.
Very well said, Angelica. Also, I'd like to say, once again, and I have no problem saying this, I am a year clean from IV use of drugs. And I will tell you that part of the equation is how I probably got HIV. So, that being said, I do know that particular form of drug abuse is on the rise in our community, in trans community, because I have met many girls now through my experience that are doing that. Many may be doing that so that they can actually do the work that they need to do to be able to provide for themselves and eat and those kinds of things. So a syringe exchange program is a good idea to be done. I hate to say it, but it almost has to be done on the down low, because girls are not going to come in, or people are not going to come in and exchange their needles if they know that they're going to be watched. But it has to be addressed, because it's on the rise in not only the trans community, but the LGBTQ community all the way across the board.
Great. Okay, so another good question is, what can we do as members of the trans community to provide our community with prevention opportunities?
Like I said before, being out there where they are, meeting them where they are and letting them know about PrEP. And in that, you said PrEP and stuff like that, but we also need to start getting the word out more about PEP. You know, we all know about PrEP now. Okay, we get it. It's still, well, and I'm not going to say that because there's still a lot of people that don't know about PrEP, but I think we need to start pushing more on PEP as well. Because if we let them know that PEP, what's that all about, that will get them into PrEP, hopefully, once they take that regimen for PEP, or it won't happen again.
And like for me, early intervention is also important. We can meet these girls as they come in and start doing their transitioning to become trans, or to be truly authentically themselves, and we can get with them and also start talking to them about, you know, safety measures. They don't learn, like when most of us were in high school, we had sex education. These days they don't have sex education in school. So, you know, they don't have no one constantly making them feel uncomfortable in classrooms and talking about that sticks in their heads and they remember it.
Mm.
You know, so that takes away a big portion of education. Like when we talked about sex ed in school, we felt so uncomfortable, but then we didn't talk about it. We didn't do it. If we was doing it, we didn't tell nobody we was doing it. Nowadays, people are talking about it and doing it and tell you they're doing it freely. They want to go free riding. And we, you know, we have to hopefully one day introduce this back into the educational system. It is very important that we have these conversations. I mean, also so that people also know that there's a difference between trans and non-binary as well. We are evolving. So this is something that we need to talk about on an educational basis, so that it's education going around to everyone, not just one particular person, one demographic. Okay, we might have time for the last pillar. Yeah, so the last one is respond. It's respond quickly to preventional HIV outbreaks to get needed prevention and treatment service to people who need them.
Okay, I just want to make a quick announcement. I'm going to be in and out for a little bit because I'm getting ready for our meeting tonight, but you can go ahead.
Okay, so my first question, all right, so it says, women in general feel completely left out when it comes to discovering new HIV and AIDS prevention methods. How do you as a trans woman feel?
Well, I'll go first. I as a trans woman, I believe that we're not represented as well as the men, gay women, even straight men and women are probably more targeted in the form of trying to get this PrEP and PEP out. But I don't know if it is because our demographic is new and we've been marginalized so long, but I just don't think that there's not enough, we're not seeing enough of us. So I think that's one of the reasons why we feel left out, because we don't see enough trans women in, in positions of power, in positions of running organizations, in positions of authority, of the power to do things for other trans women or for even their community in general. So that's an issue.
Okay. Anyone else want to add anything onto that?
I think that also goes into something that I've been preaching a lot about. It's all about PR. We have all this money, we have all these organizations, but no one knows about it. So it's about getting the word out and promoting and advertising and allowing people to know, like, I'm really proud of Mulan and everything they have done as far as she's on a billboard promoting, and that takes a lot to put yourself out there and put yourself on the front street to promote for something, that people want to see themselves and know that they're a part of that as well.
Yes, awesome. Love it. So before I read the very final question, I do want to go back over the last pillar again. The last pillar says respond. Respond quickly to potential HIV outbreaks to get needed prevention and treatment services to people who need them. The last question says describe what response means to you as a trans woman.
Say that again.
The last pillar we did was respond. Respond quickly to potential HIV outbreaks to get needed prevention and treatment services to people who need them.
But what was the question, Angela? I'm sorry.
Describe what respond means to you as a trans woman.
Well, for me, that would be being, as we've talked, like Milan was talking about earlier, the difficulty it is to traverse the organizations to get the help that's needed within a timely fashion. Once again, like Milan had spoken about, people fall out of care because it becomes too difficult to get their medication. It becomes too difficult for them to see their infectious disease specialist. People don't just need, once they go into care, they don't just need to see their infectious disease specialist. They need to see a primary care doctor. They need to be able to get their HRT. They need all of these particular doctors to be able to work together harmoniously to make sure that their life is, that their health is genuinely in good standing. Because without all those doctors working together, it becomes a circus. It's a circus, and it's difficult, and there's a lot of red tape that's involved that for some reason I have a hard time dealing with. I have a hard time believing that, when a person's in need, they're HIV positive, they have no place to live, is the holdup. That's the response. That's what we need. That's the kind of response we need. Immediate and genuine response to people's needs at the moment.
It's almost like we need to get back to a place where we have the one-stop shop, where you can just go there, get everything you need in one whop, instead of being sent to all these different places wherein a person might not have transportation that they need, a person might not have the schedule that allows them to do. They need a one-stop, all done in one whop, and just have a quick turnaround for it, because that's the main problem that we're seeing with a lot of individuals, and we can knock down all those pillars that way.
Yeah.
So I will give you an example of what I've had to go through. I went to one organization for my HIV care, but they don't provide primary care, and they don't give referrals. So I'm like going, well, what about the rest of my physical needs? Besides my HIV, I have other needs. I'm 52 years old. I might need a colonoscopy. I may need some other care. So when you go to your, usually for most trans women, and this has been my experience, I hadn't been to the doctor in 20 some years. And at that point, I was hoping that those particular people would be able to refer me, and they didn't. And so that becomes an issue, because if the rest of my health isn't good, then my HIV status is going to go down also.
I know for me, I mean, we just all had a conversation. If most of you here joined the Central Florida HIV Planning Council meeting a couple of weeks back, the community meeting, and one of the issues that we brought up that we as trans individuals keep seeing oppose a border is housing. Like, there's a lot of these individuals out here in the street, these young ladies and men out here in the streets who want to be able to get into care, but they can't get, but if they get into care, then the next thing they worry about is where to store their medications, or to find somewhere safe to put their medications, to be able to go somewhere safe and lay down and feel safe leaving their medications on their dress, on their nightstand, versus having to keep hiding their medications. You know, I know several clients who do the hotel living. They live in a hotel, majority of them hide their medications in their pillowcase and sleep on their medications because they're so afraid that someone's gonna come in and start plumbing in their room and find their medications. So for me, I know I've met so many individuals who struggle, and I know housing for them is one of the one of the main things that they think. If they always say, well, if I had a house to somewhere to stay, I would definitely be able to stay on my medication a little more, stay in care, you know, in a better way. And it leaves me often thinking that, is there something we could do? What can we do to provide them with this opportunity to have a safe place to store their medications, to wake up every morning and be able to say, I have a nice home. My medication's here. I can leave them out and take them on a daily regimen at a certain time, and don't worry about having to hide them somewhere, and if I'm gonna find them when I come back. So that's, you know. So if there's nothing else anybody wants.
I was just gonna say I can agree with that. They really do. I wish we could come up with something where people did have somewhere to put their medication, because I'm gonna speak freely and open. Like for 3 of the girls out here, I have their medication here, and they come by every night. You know, it's aggravating to me at times, but I know the bigger picture, and at least they're getting their people. But if they did have somewhere, that would be great. It really would be great. That's something we need to look into.
And I'm glad you said that, because same here. I have individuals' medication here because they feel safe with leaving it with someone that they trust to hold on to it, because they don't have a stable place to leave it. So, and that's one of the projects that we have.
And it's not yes, I totally agree. I mean, I've been in positions to where I've driven all the way to Miami to get someone's medication. And I've had people use my address to have their medication sent here, and for me to hold it for them till they can get to it, or till I can get it to them. You know, so it's not so much about, you know, people still need their confidentiality, you know, to be able to have their medication, but not have the world know what they're taking.
Exactly.
People want their privacy.
Yes. All right. Is there anything in particular that you all want to rediscuss or talk about? Because we're rounding up to the end of our conversation. I do want to definitely thank you all for being here. This is our first conversation of many more to come. This does not stop here. You already know. And while we're on here, you know, I know Divas in Dialogue just have a learning session coming up soon, I heard. So what is that? Tell me about it.
Yes, we just started the Divas in Dialogue learning session. It's going to be 6 courses. It's going to be helping young ladies learn more about STDs, job training, getting resume building, just getting them ready for the real world, just giving, and also helping them get their name changed, as well as giving them a stipend to start to do whatever they need to do with it.
Yes. Yes, fantastic. And I know Regina's not here right now, but I know Unspoken Treasure Society is also working on a few projects. They're they have an office in Jacksonville, office in Atlanta, as well as one in Hollywood, Florida. That's opening very soon. So they are jumping up and moving around. And I think one of their goals also is to be able to provide people with classes where they can get their name change as well, and so on.
Does that include their gender marker change on their IDs and all that kind of thing?
That's you. The gender marker change that usually comes from your doctor writing you a letter.
Okay. I haven't had mine changed because I want to still be able to go do things that I can't do if I have it changed. But that's a whole nother story. A whole nother story.
But I will like to interject on that. That was one of the hardest things for me. It is very important that you go to the Social Security website and know exactly what verbiage that they want in that letter, or you will be going back and forth many of times because it will not have the proper verbiage. So you want to be able to talk to your doctor and allow them to know exactly what verbiage should be put in there so that you can get that gender marker changed. And also that to the thing I was talking about mental health also, because a psychiatrist can also write that letter for you as well. But we need to be able to have access to those different psychiatrists that are able to do that and allow that to be funded, but not funded individual.
Right. These are things that are, because, well, through my experience, because I've had plenty of it, going to jail was not the best situation, especially with my gender marker still being male. It was a disaster. But I know that, that's one of the things that most of the ladies are really interested in having done, as well as having their name changed, because it allows them to be a little bit more free and a little bit more comfortable in any kind of situation, especially if they have to deal with the law or something of that sort. So, I mean,
it makes them feel safer.
It is truly,
absolutely.
It is truly empowering. I would say that I've had
and what it does is it alleviates being misgendered by the police officers. It alleviates being misgendered by other people in government positions and that kind of thing. Whereas we all know it is very easy for us to take, when they do that, so very personal. And then it makes it very difficult for you to get anything done because now you're angry and you come across angry and people don't want to respect you and treat you with civility. So that's why I was curious about that.
Regina,
I want to say something about that real quick too. With the name change situation, make sure if you're giving somebody some encouraging words on what they need to do, let them know that your primary care physician, which means the doctor, has to be the one that signs that paper. It can't be his fill-in, the practitioner that fills in for him. It can't be them. They're not going to accept it. The Department of Transportation is going to want you to have every dot and I crossed because they don't want to do it in the first place. So they're going to give you every obstacle. So your paperwork got to be on point because they couldn't stand me because I went ready. Every time she asked me another question, I was pulling out the paper, putting it on the counter. Here you go, sweetheart.
And that's why I say it's best to go through
but I'm gonna tell y'all something that Alachua County is doing, which is it's not 100%, but it's affirming for some people. What they're doing here is they're going to give the girls and the trans men a novelty ID. Now, the novelty ID will have their preferred name on it, and it will have their other name on it as well. But their preferred name is the name that Alachua County police officer will be using from now on. So
now that's amazing. That's amazing.
So we have that going on, in Alachua County. So we're going to be putting that out in September. We're going to have a special meeting and everybody will be present, and we're going to start that in September. We're rolling that out in September. So that's something that will help people who really don't want to have their name legally changed, because you have a lot of people that battle with that, with having their name changed, and then you have people that go through things with their parents about having their names changed. So, it's back and forth sometimes with that. So with this ID, it'll actually give them, it's not a per se legal ID to go worldwide, but in this area, they'll be accepting it, and they already know that they're gonna be out there.
And I would say this again, that is another reason why I would encourage everyone to try and go to Social Security and do all those things first, because it's going to make it 10 times easier for you once you get to the DMV.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Trust me. I thought mine was going to be very difficult, but I got mine through through the grace of bliss. I was able to go through their program. And like for me, I asked the judge straight up. I looked at the judge and said, hey, hold on a minute. Am I gonna be able to get my gender marker changed? And the judge looked at me, looked back at the paper. He said, I don't see why not. I said, thank you.
But I will say, the judges, they do not have the authority.
Yeah, they don't have the authority. Yes, it's all
through your
you have to file the proper documentations with the Social Security office. And
yes, make sure, like I said, make sure the verbiage is correct. When I say that means the language.
I'll be calling you, Miss Angelica, then, so you can show me what to do.
Well, I was going to let Regina close out the meeting, because I know she has to hurry up and run and jump on another group meeting that she has every week for the kids there in Alachua County. So if you all want to just lag around and talk for another 8, 9, 10 minutes, we can. I want to revisit any discussion we had. We're more than welcome to. If not, I do want to thank you all for being a part of this conversation. And as I said before, this is the first of many more conversations to come. We have
all right, guys, I have to go. I have another meeting to keep my sobriety in check. So I love you guys, and we'll talk soon.
We have a major initiative here in Orlando that we're working on, and you two ladies, I'll call y'all in a few minutes.
Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Elias.
Thank you, Aja. Thank you, Karis, for sharing the information with us today.